sthityānyayā sthānaṃ tayaiva yujyate utpādasya yathotpādo nātmanā parātmanā.
Sthityānyayā sthānaṃ tayaiva yujyate utpādasya yathotpādo nātmanā parātmanā. MMK chapter 7 verse 25. The stasis of a state of stillness is not workable by another state or by that original state itself. Just as neither by self nor by other is there arising of arising. Or for a more interpretive translation, assuming of a balanced upright posture is not workable by postural adjustment or by keeping an original position, just as neither by self nor by other is there arising of arising. So once again, we've got a verse which on the surface is about ontology. So just as arising of arising is not workable because it leads to an infinite regress. Arising of arising of arising of arising. That's how the ontologists will understand this verse, as logically not viable, not tenable. But yujyate actually means, as I read it, it means not workable in practice, not practicable. And so the question in practice is, what is sthiti? Sthiti means, according to the dictionary, in the first instance, sthiti means standing upright, standing firmly, not falling. And then by extension, it means any situation or state or position or abode. So it raises the whole question of standing or sitting upright. Is it a state? Is it, for example, a state of stillness? So in Fukan Zazengi, Master Dogen talks about Gotsu Chi, the still state. Chi means state. But how reliable is that as a description? Is it a state? Is it not a state? Is it something static or is it something dynamic? Answers to those questions, generally speaking, should be no. Any situation or state or position or abode, sthiti means. But in the first instance, it means standing upright. And here in the first para, it's in the genitive, sthiteḥ. That's genitive of sthiti, standing upright. And what's not workable is sthityānyayā sthānaṃ. So both sthiti and sthāna are from the root stā, to stay, to abide, to remain, sometimes to stop, in the sense of to stop at a certain place, to cease, to rest, to come to rest, to stop, to abide. So many meanings of sthā. And then sthāna is the NA action noun from stā. So the dictionary gives it in the first instance as the act of standing, standing firmly. So the same as sthiti. Being fixed or stationary. So that opens a whole can of worms about being fixed. Like T.S. Eliot said, stillness, but do not call it fixity. And then we've got position or posture of the body in shooting, etc. So stance. There again, stance is more dynamic than position or posture. In karate, you talk about a stance. It means a stance is something where you're ready for action. A position or a posture is more something that's a more kind of fixed, non-empty conception. Sthānaṃ means continuing in the same state. And with a genitive, as here, it can mean a cause of. So sthiteḥ sthānaṃ could mean a cause of standing upright. So really, a definitive translation of this verse is always going to be the enemy of the truth. As the translator generally is the enemy of the truth if you're translating Asvaghosa or Nāgārjuna, because you can't help lose a lot of the layers of meaning that there are there. So I've translated in the first instance the stasis. So stasis is from the Greek, it means standing, standing still. So stasis is actually quite a good translation of sthānaṃ and also of sthiti. But here I've translated sthityānyayā sthānaṃ, the stasis of a state of stillness. Yujyate is not workable. Okay, so it's not workable in the first instance logically, in the sense that utpādasya yathotpādo, just as, so yata, just as, utpādaha, nominative singular masculine, arising or genesis, utpādasya, genitive singular, of arising, of genesis. So just as the arising of arising, or just as the genesis of genesis, is not workable. So the ontological interpretation actually would be nopapādyate, is not possible, is not tenable. But here we have yujyate. So the arising of arising below the surface is not workable, because arising is a happening, not a thing. That's in practice why it's not workable, because in practice, non-empty things aren't workable. The only thing that's workable in practice is empty happenings. Let's have a look at how Siddharisa and Katra translate it. It is not right to say, you see, they say yujyate, it's not right to say, so they treat it as a proposition, but yujyate doesn't really mean that. Yujyate for me, so the verb yuj means to join, or it's the same root as yoga, practice. But they say it's not right to say. So there's no word iti there, so that's a little bit of a leap. It's not right to say that the enduring of duration is by means of another duration or by itself, which doesn't really mean anything. Just as the origination of origination is not by means of itself or by means of another origination. And it says, see verses 4 to 13 for the argument against the origination of origination. Okay, so that confirms my suspicion. They've just treated it as another extension of the old ontological issue about infinite regress. But what does it really mean? I say, for me, it's a stimulus to ask questions, to explore. And so, taking the first translation first, the stasis of a state of stillness, sthityānyayā sthānaṃ, is not workable, yujyate, by another state, sthityānyayā. So that's sthityā, instrumental singular feminine of sthiti, by a state of stillness, or by a standing upright. Anyayā, that's instrumental singular feminine of anya, so other, by another state of stillness, by another state, tayaiva cha, so taya instrumental singular feminine, means by that one, and eva is emphatic. So tayaiva, cha, and or by that very one. So by another state or by that original state itself. The stasis of a state of stillness is not workable by another state or by that original state itself. So the simple way of understanding it again is it's not workable because the stasis of a state of stillness is turning a state of stillness into a thing instead of an empty happening. So that's why it's not workable. And it's not workable. It's like nasvato napi parato, nadvabyam napya hetutaha, in the very first opening verse of MMK. No things at all have ever arisen. Svato, from self, napi parato, not from others, nadvabyam, not from both, napya hetutaha, nor from no cause. So that you can take by another state or by its own original state is more parenthetic. The gist is the stasis of a state of stillness is not workable. Just as yata, neither by self nor by other, nātmanā, na parātmanā. So nātmanā is na plus atmanā. Atmanā, instrumental singular of atman, the self, itself. Nātmanā, not by itself, not by means of itself. Na parātmanā, so that's parātmanā is instrumental singular again of para plus atman. So para means other, atman self. So by the other self. In short, by the other, by means of the other. So neither by self nor by other is there arising of arising. Utpādasya, utpādaha. So there is arising of arising, or there is genesis of genesis. So that's the gist. But then when you start thinking about what sthiti means, we translated it before twice because we didn't want to lose either meaning. So I translated it in the verse 23. Staying still while staying upright. Staying still while staying upright. It has both those meanings. So staying still while staying upright, I've translated it in the more interpretive translation, a balanced upright posture. There is no balanced upright posture as a thing, but that's the point. Sthiti can suggest an empty happening, which is an act of standing upright or an act of staying still, or it can suggest a thing as conceived via prapancha, like a balanced upright posture, a right posture. So sthānaṃ means stationing or positioning for, you could say positioning for a balanced upright posture, or the causing of a balanced upright posture. So when we talk about a posture, we say assuming a posture, or taking a posture, adopting a posture. So I've translated it assuming of a balanced upright posture. Now yujyate is not workable. And then with a bit of poetic license, I've translated sthityānyayā, by another balanced upright posture, by postural adjustment. Because that's what postural adjustment is really. It's looking at somebody's posture and seeing another posture that you think will be better, and so making little arrangements. I've had people do it to me. As Zazen Dojo, when I went to visit Eheji Betsuin, for example, somebody came and started fiddling around with my head, and I think I might have gone extremely purple because I didn't like it, and I think he sensed it and desisted fairly rapidly. I knew intuitively that was not where it was at. Some ignoramus fiddling around with my head. So I've interpreted their sthityānyayā by another balanced upright posture, by postural adjustment, because that's what it means. Postural adjustment is you see what's before you and you have an idea of something else, another posture that you think will be better. So you get in there and fiddle about. Or by keeping an original position, tayaiva. So taking eva as original, by keeping an original position. So taya, by that one, eva itself. So those are the two sort of delusory approaches if you think there is such a thing as a balanced upright posture. You either change A into B, or you think just leave A as A, and wait for it to develop into A star, or however you conceive it. So it's easy to sit here and say, well, look, that's the wrong conception of stillness. Stillness is not a non-empty thing. But then the question still is there to be explored. What is stillness? And the answer should be, I don't know. And then you can ask is questions. Is stillness a function of the vestibular system? No. Is stillness a function of the autonomic nervous system? Is stillness a kind of balance of the autonomic nervous system? Again, the answer should be no, because the autonomic nervous system is a false conception if it's conceived as a thing of two parts, two things in balance with each other, like two stones bumping into each other. That's prapansya. Is stillness something spiritual? When in the Old Testament God says, be still and know that I am God. Is that a kind of is stillness a kind of ceasing all the petty conceptions and petty struggles one had before one submitted oneself to a higher power? Is that the essence of stillness, a kind of submission, a surrendering? Again, the answer should be no. Because the answer ultimately is sarvadrishti prahanaya. There is no answer apart from going in the direction of sarvadrishti prahanaya, abandoning all views. I've asked myself some further questions. Is it like weighing scales being in balance? No. Is it like riding a bicycle? I think it's attributed to Einstein, who said, if you want to keep balance riding a bicycle, don't stop pedaling, or you'll fall off. So, sthityānyayā sthiteḥ sthānaṃ tayaiva chana yujyate utpādasya yathotpādo nātmanā parātmanā. The stasis of a state of stillness is not workable. Assuming of a balanced, upright posture is not workable. By another state or by that original state itself, by postural adjustment or by keeping an original position. Just as neither by self nor by other is there arising of arising.
sthityānyayā sthiteḥ sthānaṃ tayaiva ca na yujyate utpādasya yathotpādo nātmanā na parātmanā.